Hi, stamping friends. It's Sherry Parker coming to you live on Wednesday, September 24th. It's fall now, which is super hard to believe, and it's starting to get cooler here in Ohio, and we're starting to see a few little signs of changing leaves and all the pretty stuff that comes with fall. And I hope you're having a good start to your fall as well. I have two holiday cards. I know it seems early, but I don't think it's really ever too early if you're going to be making any holiday projects. I don't think it's ever too early to get started. So I'm going to show you a couple cards here in just a second. First, two quick announcements. World Card Making Day. I've mentioned this a few times. That is coming up on October 4th, so that's next weekend. And you can still register. You just go online. It's a free virtual event. There is a kit you can order. I don't know. I mean, you could potentially still get it if you ordered it now, but it could be iffy. Anyway, it should be a really good time, and you can tune in, and it's free. The second thing I want to mention, I just posted on my website, in October, there is a joining special going on with Stampin' Up. Really, really great deal. It's super cheap, and you get to pick really awesome stuff. So more to come on that in October, but I did want to mention that if you've ever been on the fence or you order a lot of things, why not sign up to be a demonstrator? I'd love to have you join our team. All right, I'm going to turn the camera over and we will get started. I'll show you a couple quick projects. All right, hi Georgine, in our new holiday mini, on pages 32 to 34, there's this wonderful new suite called Peaceful Garden. Happy fall, Donna. And it is a beautiful, beautiful suite. So hi, Karen. Thanks for joining. While it is a holiday, stamp set and everything in paper, it also has some greetings. I've used this on other cards here that are really everyday greetings. So it's very versatile. So there's a beautiful stamp set, die cut set, 3D embossing folder, some designer series paper, glimmer paper, and embellishments that all come in this suite. You can of course buy things separately, and I'll show you a few of the things that we're going to be using tonight. So first, the designer series paper is gorgeous, and I love the blues and the whites. So pretty. So on one side you have patterns like with a lot of our paper, and then you turn over and you get some more subtle patterns on the other sides. So that is the designer series paper. There's also a pack of glimmer paper that has these gorgeous blue and then the cloud cover kind of grayish tones, and just so pretty. And a little bit of this can go a long way and really add a lot of festivity to your projects. So those are some of the things we're using tonight, supply-wise. And as I mentioned, the stamp set, die cut set, the embellishments, and then the 3D embossing folder. I don't know if you can see that very well, but we'll be using that tonight. Okay, so what are we making? We are making two holiday cards. At the end of the video, I will show you a few projects that I made that are not holiday, but you can use the paper and the stamps. It's very versatile, so it does not have to be just for the holidays. First, we'll make a very basic holiday card like that. So this one will take no time at all. And then the second card is this really pretty fun fold. And this is one of my favorite fun folds. It looks a lot harder than it is, but it's very elegant and just very unique. So, it's like a little surprise in the mail. So let's get started. We'll start with this first simple card, which you will need a card base. I have the cloud cover. It's a half sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock folded in half. And then I've got a piece of the designer series paper. I'm using the Dove side. Now, again, you could pick either side to be pretty. And this is cut down to 5 1/4 by 4. And then last, I have a piece of white that is 5 by 3 3/4. I'm going to run this piece through the embossing folder, and you can see it has this really pretty centered kind of a shape with some flowers or leaves on the sides. And I'm trying to center it as best I can. I'm going to run it through my embossing folder, through the machine to the side here of my desk. And when you take it out, it looks like that. So you can see how it gives it some nice texture. So we'll go ahead and kind of assemble the card base. So I will adhere this designer series paper to the card front like that. And then again, we'll adhere the white piece. Very simple layering there. And then for the greeting, I've cut out with the dies that come in the set with the smaller one. I've cut out the shape, and this is just the back side of one of the designer series paper pieces. And I'm going to use the Peace on Earth stamp with Secret Sea ink. Stamp it on there like that. I'm gonna clean it off. Very simple to do. And the nice thing, you know, about all of our papers, all the colors that coordinate within each paper pack, they're listed on the pack of paper. So there's really no guesswork at all. So you can match pretty easily. I'm gonna layer this onto the Secret Sea glimmer paper. Just gives it a nice shimmer. I'll put a couple dimensionals. One thing that you probably know, if you're adhering anything to the glimmer paper, hi Felicia, your best bet, I think, you can use glue, but I think Stampin' Dimensionals hold it the best. Some of the tapes don't hold as well. So it's very pretty framed like that. But what if you wanted to even give it a little bit more oomph? Now there's only 2 different dies that come with this shape. So how do you make a third? Well, I'm gonna take, I cut out the same shape and I'm just gonna cut it in half. Not very precise, as you can tell. And I'm just gonna tuck it behind like that, and it's gonna look like it's another layer. So it's a way you can kind of cheat and get an extra layer out of a shape. So we'll adhere, kind of tuck that behind, and then we'll do the same thing in the bottom. Put a few dimensionals, and we're almost done with this card. Look how fast that was. So, and that's so easy. Add a little bit of adhesive and put on the front of our card. And we're almost done. I'm gonna add a bow. This is the Secret Sea. There's also ribbon that comes in the suite. That's the lighter blue midnight muse, and it's so pretty too. It's very elegant. I thought I would just show you how you can really coordinate any kind of ribbon that you happen to have. So this is the Secret Sea ribbon, and I will use some glue to just adhere that. And then, like I do frequently with glue and bows, I just put a stamping acrylic block on top there, and voila. If you wanted, you could add some embellishments. I think these are super pretty, and they have all the different blues. So I love blue and white. When I grew up, my mom had blue and white tile in our kitchen. Just have always loved that color combination. So I'm gonna let that dry, I'll set it aside, but we're already done with that card. Very easy, and you could make a lot of these for Christmas. Well, Cheryl, I can show you how to make bows like this. Very simple. Okay, so let's move on to the next card. And this is a wow card, I think. So this is the Fun Fold, as I said, and I will walk you through the different parts and pieces, okay? And up here, I've got them written out, and I'm happy to share those when I post the cards tomorrow. But just to kind of give you a sense of what you would need to make this, and you could reapply this really to any card design. So you're gonna need a card base, and this measures 8.5 by 4 1/4, and you're going to score at 5.5. So I'll do that first. Put a little score line there at 5.5, and there's our card base, okay? This is the one that's gonna fold up like that. Also for the base of the card, we have a 1/4 sheet of cardstock trimmed down that'll tuck in there, and we will adhere that to our card. Hi, Sharon. Just like that, and that's the card base. Then we will kind of get a nice fold here. For this flap that folds up, I'm going to put a couple different layers of paper. So I've got a cardstock piece that's 4 2/3, and then a designer series paper piece that is 3 3/4 by 2 1/2. So we'll layer those. Again, you don't have to do all these layers. It's totally optional, whatever you like to do. I think for something like this, especially for the holidays, I like to add a few layers. Oops, look, I put the adhesive on the opposite side of what I did here, but that's okay. I really think both sides are beautiful. And then that is our card base. So what we'll do is we'll kind of set that aside for just a second, and then we'll focus on the front part of the card. Hi, Tammy. Thank you, Tammy. They're very, very outgrown. And I don't normally get my nails done, so it's a lot of maintenance, and I'm not very good at maintenance stuff. So anyway, so I have for the inner part of the card, I've got a piece of cardstock here. This measures 9 3/4 by 3 1/4. And yes, you could do math with fractions, but it might just be easier to just fold it in half. So we're just gonna use the bone folder, get a nice fold, and there you go. And then for this piece, what we'll do is on the inside, I'm gonna put a piece of cardstock so that if you're writing something on the inside of your card, a little bit lighter, you could put any color there that you wanted. You can make it white if you wanted. And then for the top, what we'll do is run this piece of white cardstock. And so this piece and the inner piece measure 4, and I know this is 11/16 by 3. So you can eyeball it too. You could just trim it. I do that frequently, but if you wanted the exact measurements, that's what it is. So just like we did on the first card, I'm going to set a piece of cardstock here inside this 3D embossing folder. We will run it through. And voila, we've got a beautiful embossed piece of cardstock. Okay, so I might turn it this way. It's not perfectly even, but I am not a perfectionist, so that doesn't bother me. I did go ahead and cut out one of the shapes, and again, you can pick whichever side of paper you want. I like the dark because we're going to have a dove, and we're going to want a little contrast for our dove. So, all right, I did cut out my dove, but I don't see it, which is kind of funny. I probably just dropped it on the floor somewhere, but that's okay. We will cut one out, never fear. I've got the die cuts right here, and we'll just cut a dove out, a piece of paper here, and run it through the die cut machine. Things don't always go as planned. And I did have a little dove, and I'll probably find him just as soon as I'm done, but that's okay. So I cut out a little dove, and we'll use him for the front. And then for the greeting, I've got a little, this is a scrap of the cloud cover. And what I'm gonna do, I don't want it to say peace on earth. I just want the word peace. So I will simply just ink up the word peace. And I will stamp it on here. Turn it over, and I'm making all kinds of little boo-boos tonight, aren't I? Never fear, we'll trim it down. This is how I roll. I try to cut stuff out in advance, just so you don't have to sit here and watch me do all that, but sometimes it doesn't go very well. So I've got this little scrap here, as well as a scrap of glimmer paper. This is the Secret Sea, and I'll use a Stampin' Dimensional to adhere to that. And then similarly, I will put this on top here. And we'll use dimensionals for that. I can't wait to show you the other cards that we made. We got this at an event for Stampin' Up! As being a demonstrator. And we made some really, really fun creations. But isn't that pretty? So let's go ahead and adhere this to the front of the inner card like that. And then we'll put our dove right here, front and center. And put him right here. And then there's even a little sprig, if you can see that. And I'll use some glue. Put a little dot of glue there. And it'll be like he's holding it in his mouth. So last part of this card is you basically are intertwining these two pieces. Hi Debbie, happy fall to you. So you see how you're doing that? So essentially you're just going to adhere this, kind of center it there, and then you'll lift up this flap, tuck that one in, and there you go. And you're done. Or you can add an embellishment, which of course I always like to do that. So we'll add a couple embellishments here. And there's your card. Isn't that so fun? I love the fun fold. So our 2 cards tonight, very simple, a little stepped up with fun fold. So let me show you a couple other ideas with this suite. We made this little box here. So this is not holiday, it's just big hugs for a good friend, a little box. Here's a card, which I love this setup, and I might do this for a Facebook Live, where you make a little tag that slides in and out. And that's just, you know, thinking of you, heartfelt prayer card. Here's one with that same designer series paper that's a sympathy card, and just very pretty with the sprig there. And then a very stepped up holiday card. This one might not be so easy to mass produce, but it's very, very pretty. So all with the same suite as the 2 cards we made tonight. So I hope you like those cards. And remember, if you comment on or share every week, you are automatically entered to win the projects that I make each week. And that's one of the fun things I love about doing this, because I love to share the fun with all of you, because I know it's fun for you to get inspired and share your ideas with me too. Last week we made this Z-fold card. So if you remember what we did here, it's really the same exact card. We just made it in 2 different color combinations, but we used the same designer series paper and just kind of stepped it up a little bit differently. So everyone who commented on and shared last week, your name is in here already, and we'll draw for these. Thanks, Georgine. The first card goes to Ronnie Petru, and the second card goes to Felicia Blaine. So I appreciate, of course, everyone who comments on and shares, and it's very random, so certainly there's no rhyme or reason, and anyone has an opportunity to win each week. So thank you again for watching tonight. I hope you like those cards. Sorry I made a few little boo-boos, but that's just the way it goes. So, but I do thank you for watching. And if you make a card like one of the ones I showed tonight, I would love to see what your creation is. So thank you again. Don't forget about the signing up special starting in October. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And thank you again for watching. Take care. Bye.